Okay, my name is Jim Webb. I'm a land use lawyer with Smith, Kimbrell, and Russell. I've been here many times over many years, although a little bit less often in the last few years. I'm here on behalf of Hotel Development Partners to talk about sort of the evolution of the plan that I presented in December. I definitely recognize the fact that some of you guys were here last time when we talked about this plan. But let me just first orient you to the location. This is Ashford Dunwoody Road here, Perimeter Center North here. Sterling Point development is here. They've got a 6-story building, an 8-story building, and a 7-story parking deck there now, and this is the parking field that the president is vacant. This plan is to redevelop this parking field. And for those of you who were here the last time, you know that there were some issues raised at the time, some things we were asked to look at, and we've definitely done that. We have had a number of meetings since then with the city to try and bring this plan along. We've had a number of meetings with traffic engineering, with the DHA board, with other folks to try and put together a project that everybody can be happy with. And let me talk a little bit about the changes since I was last year. Probably one of the biggest and most important changes is that all of the buildings orient towards Ashford Dunwoody Road now. Let me use this plan to explain that. This is just a blow up of what we're actually proposing to develop. And again, get my bearings here.
There you go.
Here's Ashford Dunwoody, Perimeter Center North, and you can see that all the buildings now face the roadway. One of the big issues before was that this hotel was oriented so that the side faced Ashford Dunwoody, and that, although we were going to dress the side up, make it look like an entrance, was something that people asked us to address. And to be honest, the city really helped us along with evolving this concept. So where we are now is we've got a 10,000 square foot restaurant space here fronting Ashford Dunwoody Road, 2 4,500 square foot retail spaces, and another 6,000 square foot retail space, again fronting Ashford Dunwoody. And this hotel has maintained the same number of units, 134 units, but it's gone from 6 to 8 stories. We had to do that actually to move it back east of the proposed buildings and have it face the roadway. So in many ways, some of the suggestions we got from the city really helped improve the plan. We picked up additional parking. I think we created a streetscape that's more conducive to what certainly the engineers involved, the city staff involved, and I think frankly sort of the DHA has been advocating for a long time now. So that's probably the biggest change. Secondly, we talked a little bit about this right-in, right-out access. Since we were last year, we discovered a right-of-way need. Okay, way back when, DeKalb County came in and took the property to expand Ashford Dunwoody Road. And they didn't pay the property owner money for it. Instead, they gave them the right to put a curb cut in at some point in the future. In fact, the property owner actually has a right to put one here on the other side of Perimeter Center North as well. So under that, guys, we asked the traffic engineer to look at what we were proposing and help us design the right location. If you recall, this right-in, right-out access was here on the plan that I presented in December, but it was actually a little bit further north. So this traffic engineer, in addition to studying the area and the intersections that the city asked us to do, made some suggestions in locating this particular right-in, right-out access and designing it so that it controls traffic flow into the roadway heading north, and it also allows for safe pedestrian crossing at that location. Of course, as before, the buildings are brought up to the street, and we've incorporated the full PCID streetscape landscape concept there. And importantly, we've also got a pretty extensive sidewalk network internal to the site so that there's connectivity between the different uses and the current uses on this property as well. And one thing that I find interesting is that at every point where vehicular traffic and pedestrian traffic converges, there's a raised sidewalk and pavers, so to control the flow on the site. This has a lot of other features that really are more urban and more conducive to the connectivity concepts we talk about now. There are hardscape areas, and there are 2 obvious ones here. Fronting the opposite sides of this main plaza inn, these are areas where people will congregate, they can drink, they can eat, and hang out there. So we have been to the community council on this application. We went several weeks ago. Community council recommended approval. We actually only had one opponent who I see here tonight. His issue ultimately is bike lanes, and as I told the community council that night, we have been talking to the city about that point, and we think that we may either be required to put bike lanes in or at least allow areas for future bike lanes. So again, that's a work in progress, but we're down the road with the city on that concept. So from here, we go to the Planning Commission April 23rd, and we will be in front of the city council for the first time May 13th.
Any questions?
How much parking do you have available?
1,281 spaces. It's actually an increase over what was proposed for the site back in 2008. 530 spaces.
You said you worked with a traffic engineer on this. Who was the traffic engineer on that one? No.
I forget the guy's name, and the traffic report, full impact study is part of our application package.
So it was your traffic engineer?
Correct, but he met with the city to talk about the parameters, and it was the city that asked us to engage him. See, somebody's worked with the city before.
So we know that, how about that idea, you know, we know the city has adopted the complete streets, and we know that PCID does retrofit, so they did retrofit Perimeter Center West for bike lanes by reducing the median. So we do envision sometime in the next 20 years, Ashford Dunwoody would have bike lanes as well. So what were you saying about the accommodation on that again?
Well, we've talked to the city about that, trying to understand what our obligation is, and I'm not sure we understand it yet, but it's my impression that we are heading to either, number one, install bike lanes as part of this development, or at a minimum, allow additional areas so that they can be installed in the future. So I don't know what the answer is going to be, but I think there's going to be an answer.
Why don't you choose the rest of the right-of-way, the right-hand turn lane for the traffic, so you can put them there?
We don't have control over that.
Yeah, I know. I got it. If nobody else has a question, I've got it. DHA in 2008 negotiated this project for a hotel, restaurant with outdoor seating, 2 retail buildings, and a hotel that was sitting there with a pedestrian access to Ashford Dunwoody Road. And it was negotiated for a pedestrian access to Ashford Dunwoody Road because we didn't want any more curb cuts on an already congested street. This community has fought for the last 6 months about the reduction of traffic lanes on Dunwoody Village Parkway with a grand total of 4,000 cars a day. And we're all going crazy about lane reductions. I have nothing to gain on this because if I'm right, traffic is going to adversely impact me. So I have there's nothing in my pocket to win here. This is to get Dan in case he gets out of hand. I want to go to this. Let's go to the idea that they discovered a deed that allows them a curb cut. Big whoop. Because in 2008, that property owner who owned that curb cut willingly and openly negotiated with the Dunwoody Homeowners Association, with the DeKalb County Planning Commission, and the full DeKalb County Board of Commissioners, the ones that we like to badmouth all the time for dumping crap into Dunwoody, who specifically zoned the property no curb cut. Conditional zoning is a legislative action that carries with the property. The same as a zoning is a legislative action that carries with the property. Once you zone a piece of property pursuant to a site plan that shows no curb cut, you ain't got a curb cut. Okay? Understand that. I watched the hour and 35-minute tape of our illustrious community council people who couldn't find an intersection if they were stuck in the middle of a red light. Asking that very question. The city have to pay compensation to get rid of this curb cut. And and Lenny's sitting there twiddling his thumbs, giving answers that made no land use sense whatsoever. They do not have a curb cut, which is why they're here in front of us now to try to get it back. We already have a hotel. We already have retail on this street already. Pedestrian access to Ashford Dunwoody Road, which connects to the PCID sidewalks, which were built to encourage people to walk down Perimeter Center to go to J. Alexander's, to Walmart, to the California Pizza Kitchen, to P.F. Chang's, and to all the other restaurants across the street on foot, not on cars. But now we're looking at this because I have in the back of my mind a little bit of hotel envy. Sandy Springs is getting a hotel on Ashford Dunwoody Road, high-rise and big buildings, and it's all going to be beautiful. Brookhaven's getting a brand new Hyatt that was owned and planned under the evil DeKalb County Planning and Zoning Group. And we're going to get a Hampton Inn. And we're giving up pedestrian right-of-way and pedestrian access to get to this property. And it goes one step deeper. That deed that was signed in 1980, what you found it, your due diligence?
It's 1980 something.
1980 something. We widened this road. We widened Ashford Dunwoody Road. And even though they say they've lengthened this, I live right here. I drive this every single day coming home from work. Okay, that turn lane starts somewhere around here now. And it goes all the way up here to relieve people who go into about 3,000 apartment buildings that weren't there in 1980, that are there now. Okay, that's a lot of apartment buildings. A lot of residents that go off on Perimeter Center North on that right-hand turn, that dedicated right-hand turn lane. We want these people to come. I want the hotel to be there. I just don't want them to have access off Ashford Dunwoody Road. So the city, Steve Dush, in his ultimate brilliance, and he and I have had words about this at the State of the City address. We went over this plan. What we did, if you look at this traffic piece right here, is that we took right-of-way to widen the street. We are now giving this developer the right-of-way back for nothing. This traffic island is now in the existing right-hand turn lane. It sticks out and kills the entire right-hand turn lane. I heard one of the community council people say at the meeting, "Oh, I love the decel lane. How safe is that?" Yeah, of course you love it, because they're not paying for it. It's on our property, city property. So we're going to build them, or they're going to build a traffic calming device that takes our right-hand turn lane and turns it into a decel lane for a 140-room hotel on the heaviest traveled road in the city. It gets better. Now we're going to make a right-hand turn out of this hotel. Now, if you're all familiar with this is right across the street from the California Pizza Kitchen. Okay? There ain't squat going further north till you get to Mount Vernon. Everything at this point in Perimeter is south. Got it? We're going to leave this hotel and make a right-hand turn. Now the traffic engineer, because we know traffic engineers are like marketing studies, they never lie. Okay? This traffic is going to come out with this bump out, which takes over the right-hand turn lane that's already there. It's going to force traffic into the second lane of traffic going northbound on Ashford Dunwoody Road. Have you been in traffic northbound on Ashford Dunwoody Road about 5 o'clock? 6 o'clock? Anybody who leaves this hotel to go northbound on Ashford Dunwoody Road, sure as heck, ain't going to the church. They're going to go back down to Perimeter, where all the hotels and all the restaurants and all the shopping is. Which means they're going to come out of this road here, be forced into the second lane, and immediately cut across 2 lanes of traffic to get into the left-hand turn lane to make the right-hand turn at Perimeter Center North. All at the same time. The people, for the last 20 years, who've been used to using this right-hand turn lane as their way to get to their apartments and to their houses and to their office buildings, and I said about 3,000 apartments, I think, that are back here. I walk my dog there every day. Are going to be going this way. So as these people are coming this way to go the U-turn going south, these people now are going to be going right to make a right-hand turn. But the traffic engineers say it's safe. And I'm not going to be there on the 23rd, so that's why Ben knows I'm not going to throw tomatoes at him, and the developer knows. He was very upset the first meeting I went to at the DHA when I expressed these concerns. This is a great project. This is the access point. This is an existing access point. Anybody drive I-95 or major streets in Maryland and stuff like that, there are hotels by the thousands that have access points that are not on the road that they are off of. They tell you, make a right and come back, because you're going to see this whole beautiful complex there, and that's the way to get in. This is not rocket science. People who want to come out here and go south on Ashford Dunwoody Road have to use this entrance and exit to take advantage of this existing traffic light. I know McDonald's on Roswell Road forces people through the back of their property to get to the traffic light so they can